Good morning, Taft 6th grade percussion. It's Dr. Schaefer here. You can call me Dr. S. We're going to be looking at some mallet instruments today. And those of you that have bell kits, your instrument will look something like this. These are orchestra bells. They sound like this. We can use different mallets on those. We'll do that in just a second though. Over here on this side we see a vibraphone. This is a lot larger. We can play that with 2 mallets, or we can play that with 4 mallets. This is used primarily in jazz, but also in solo playing and sometimes in concert band. On this other side we have a wooden instrument, and this is the marimba. You probably won't have one in your band room, but you probably have another wooden instrument known as a xylophone, which is a little bit higher pitched. This is a marimba, and sounds like that. We can also play that with 4 mallets. But right now we're going to introduce you to the set of orchestra bells. Now if you have a little bell kit at home, you'll be able to practice on that. And if not, you'll just have to absorb what I'm telling you, and when you get your hands on a bell kit, begin to practice this. Now, the orchestra bells are the highest instrument in the band or the orchestra. This highest pitched instrument. There's our highest note. Now, we don't usually write orchestra bells throughout the entire piece because these things are very loud. And they're supposed to sing out over the top of the ensemble to reinforce important parts. We could play this with a little bit softer mallets. That's soft plastic, the one that fell down over here. These are our brass mallets. I have even lighter brass mallets that I made for myself. I don't know if you can see that. Put little brass washers, and now very delicate little sound. However, practicing this thing can hurt your ears a lot because it's kind of loud and there's a lot of ringing. So what I advise you to do, if you have a selection of mallets that you can choose from, you want to choose the softer mallets. I'm going to use these, but all of that ring still kind of bothers my ears in this little room. So for practicing, take a piece of cloth or a handkerchief or something, and what I'm going to do is stuff this underneath where the bars overlap. And your bars may not overlap very much, but you'll find a way to muffle some of that sound. And I'm just going to put these in here, and this will stop the bells from ringing so much. There we go. It's not perfect, but it's under there. Listen to the difference. So it's a lot softer. That's what I would advise you to do. Begin to muffle the ringing a little bit and choose the softest mallets that you can for this practicing. Now, in real life, you will only use this in bands, in concert bands and in orchestras. These other 2 instruments you'll use in a lot more places. In jazz, like I said, we play the vibraphone, and I play that locally. And marimba, this is kind of our solo concert instrument. But nonetheless, bells are what's really used most often in the band. So this is the starting place for you. Plus, I'm going to change the camera just a little bit. So we're going to get a close-up on the bells. So this may be the first time you've dealt with a pitched instrument. This is set up like the piano. These keys up here on the piano would be black notes. And down here, these would be white notes. Now, over the years, we've developed this arrangement of notes. All of these notes are a half step apart, which means, let me see, that's a half step to there, and 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 a half step to there. If you have 2 half steps, it turns it into a whole step. Now, we make scales are combinations of half steps and whole steps. But before we talk about reading music, what we'd like to do is get you comfortable in just hitting the instrument without worrying about reading music. Okay, so now find this grouping of 2 here, and then notice here's a grouping of 3. So grouping of 2, grouping of 3, grouping of 2, grouping of 3. These represent an octave, and an octave sounds like that. And basically, octaves are multiples. If a note is vibrating at 440 times a second, like concert A, if we go an octave up, it would be 880 times a second. Okay, enough of that music theory. What we want to do now is find C, and C is just to the south of that group of 2. So find the group of 2, and that note right there. This note is middle C, or this note on your music will look like middle C. We'll talk about that later, but right now we're just going to hit the instrument. We're going to go up 5 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now the letter names are C, D, E, F, G, F, E, D, C. Now, these instruments, when we play the bells, we usually choke up on the mallets. Now that means creep up like this. Now if these were drumsticks, you'd be holding it down here. Okay, but these are mallets and they're a little bit off center. We want to hold pretty close to the middle. Okay? Now, we'll have a couple of different hand positions. We often think about playing just like this, but we also use this position with one hand at a 90-degree angle to the other, or we'll use this position. Okay, so that we have these several positions. Right now, I'd like to put your left hand above on the bar, and put your right hand just a little bit below on the bar. Okay, now we see that this left hand is at a 90-degree angle to this right hand. And we're just going to play up and down 5 notes. Now I've got my hand situated over the notes, and here we go. I'm just going to use the basic percussion stroke, which is down, up, down, up, down, up. C, D, E, F, G, F, E. Okay, get very comfortable with that. Now, we're going to learn how to play as fast as you can. Now, what you want to be able to do is play this as fast as you can, perfectly. Well, I take a look at what each individual hand does. Now, my right hand that's starting on the C hits these notes. This is 1, 3, 5. The left hand just plays F and D, and it plays each one twice. So again. So the right hand travels further than the left hand. So I want you to play this as perfectly as you can, and as relaxed as you can, and then start gradually increasing the tempo. So that's exercise number 1 for the bells. This will help you get accustomed to hitting the instrument. Now what we're going to do is play all the way up to the end of the scale from C to C, and coming down we'll go up to the 9th and come down. Sounds like this. This is a very standard way for people to practice scales because it fits into 4/4 time really easily. Here we're going to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and now do this as fast as you can, but as relaxed as you can. Okay, so this is your little look at the orchestra bells. Sometimes this is called the glockenspiel. That's the German word for it. The French word for it is jeu de timbre, And in America, we call them bells. And they're not actually bells, they're little tuned bars. So, in our next video, we will begin to play some of the band music in your packet. Hey, thanks for being here. This is Dr. S. Till I see you again, keep practicing. Bye now.